question is actually, our first discussion is actually how to create effective growth and performance marketing strategies. Because the way Nigerian economy is and the way the Nigerian business is actually efficient to actually have a, should I say, performance growth or performance marketing strategy. So, in no accord, let me give the mic to Mr. Stephen.
All right.
For you to discuss the first topic.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. All right, so for me, the first thing that any company or any growth marketer needs to do when creating growth marketing strategies is to be clear on the goals that the company is trying to achieve. So from there, you can then work your growth marketing strategy as well as your performance marketing strategy. So if, for example, your goal is to acquire as many users as possible at the lowest cost, that will inform the kind of growth marketing strategy that you will deploy. If your goal is to reduce churn, retain your users, that will also inform the strategy that you will use. So first of all, you need to be clear on the goals that the company is trying to achieve, and then break them down into smaller goals that will inform your strategy creation.
Okay, that's a wonderful one. Mr. Joshua?
Well, for me, I would say I try to liken growth marketing to you trying to go on a journey. If you don't have a destination, then you don't know where you're going to, and you can easily get lost. So you need to, just like you said, you need to have an objective in mind. That objective, you can divide it into different options. Do you want people to go to a particular website? Do you want them to know more about your company? Do you want them to follow you guys on social media? You just have to have that objective at the back of your mind, and then with the objective in mind, you'd be able to devise the right strategy that you'd use to reach the right users and right set of people. Then apart from that, you also want to focus more on analytics. What has been done before and what do you want to do now? And that way you would be able to know whether what was done before was done rightly or was done wrongly, and then that can also help you figure out the right strategy to use to when you are trying to build up this particular new campaign. And then the campaign that you have at the moment, you also need to come up with the numbers that you want to track. And that way you would know if you are tracking the vanity metrics or you are tracking the metrics that contributes to the bottom line. And at the end of the day, everyone wants to make money. So because you want to make money, you need to know the numbers that you want to track.
Well, they've said most of it because at the core of every strategy, whether it's a growth marketing strategy or a brand visibility strategy, you need to be sure of your objectives. So the business objectives first, and then your objective as a growth marketer or as the marketing personnel. So be sure of your objective is the first thing. Then another thing is to evaluate your current position. So for instance, your objective is to have 2,000 users, the SMART objective. So you're specific, 2,000 users by third quarter of 2023. Then you take a step back and ask yourself, how many users do I have currently? Then you determine the gap, of course, where I am going to minus where I am currently. Then you get creative. The interesting thing about growth marketing is that it is about using cost-efficient means to reach your goal. Yeah, apparently that's what we have defined it as, and that's why many times you use the digital marketing approach or stuff to get your. So because you want to be cost-effective or cost-efficient, you have to get creative. So and then you get so. For instance, you need to know what you're trying to achieve before you then decide that what creative means can I can I explore to reach where I am going to? And there are many creative means. I don't know if there's going to be a question that will then take us into the different means, but by the time you are designing your strategy comes from the place of, I'm sure many of us, I don't know if you are marketing people, you determine your target audience, you determine who you want to reach, you determine where you want to go to, then determine how to get there. We call that tactics, yeah? So you build or design your tactics, and as digital marketers or growth marketers, we really need to get creative in getting there, because you don't want to do what every other person is doing. Yeah, because if you do what every other person is doing, you get lost in the crowd. So you have to find a way, in the traditional marketing, they call it guerrilla marketing. Yeah. So I remember we were supposed to do a campaign once, and a very traditional marketer said we should go and do, what's that thing they call it? We should go and dance at the airport. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do that, right? So it's different, but is this something the Nigerian audience, would you really appreciate somebody dancing at the airport when you're trying to catch a flight? I don't think so. I would not, right? Maybe it works abroad. We see it, by the time you check top creative marketing things, you see somebody dancing at the airport and everybody is watching and everybody is doing a video. But then you have to check out your audience and determine that would this work for them. That wasn't going to work at, what's the name now? Ondo Airport, Akure Airport. So I definitely was not going to do that. So those are one of the things you have to put into your strategy, the tactics, putting in mind where you are going to and who you are trying to reach.
Wonderful. Please, a round of applause. Sector, which is how to create that growth. How are we going to have that creative growth? So I'm going to start with the wonderful First Lady, because we need, I'm sure our guests need, methods on how we can derive that. So please, do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, insights. The truth is, I can't give a method because I don't know what products you work on. Yeah, I have worked across so many products, and I can tell you for a fact that what works for product A might not work for product B. So what I would say, though, is understand your product. In short, when we go for strategy classes, one of the first things they tell you is understand your business. So if I want to ask you, what business do you think Coca-Cola is into? They always ask us about Coca-Cola. If I ask anybody, what business is Coca-Cola into?
Standard design of drinks, commodity, consumables. That's all. Any other station?
Bring your family together.
Coca-Cola is in the business of quenching thirst. Abi, that is their business. What they sell is Fanta, Coke, Sprite to quench your thirst. Do you know, understanding that Coca-Cola is in the business of quenching thirst helps you to also understand that water is a competition to Coca-Cola. If you say Coca-Cola is in the business of soft drinks business, by the time you are listing Coca-Cola's business, you list Pepsi, you list Big Cola. But understanding the core of your business helps you to market. So what does Coca-Cola do? By the time you see their ad, by the time you see a Coca-Cola ad, your thirst is quenched. I don't know if you've seen so many of they give that refreshing feeling that makes it feel like Coca-Cola always comes cold.
For me, I'm going to talk from the aspect of clear messaging, and after all of these tactics and what we want to do to be able to convert our customers, right? We want to also give them clear messaging. We want to make sure that we are like communicating to them, with them, in the language that they understand, that particular tone, that voice that they want to. Because, at the end of the day, when you see a messaging from Globacom, like she said, you already know that, okay, there are some things you look out for, like the brand design, which is majorly green. You see somebody that is, let's say, like an Owolabi, that is an ambassador wearing green from head to toe. You see the messaging talking about you being a champion or something like that. So you already know that, okay, this is from Globacom. And the same way you want to do the same thing too with your products. You want to make sure that people are able to identify your voice amongst every other voice that is in the market at the moment. So these are like one of the things that I would say that is necessary. And the best way to do this is to actually do a lot of research and look at your competitors. Try to see what they are doing or what they are not doing that you can do that can be different from what every other person is used to. So let's say you are coming up with a Coca-Cola. So you look at what these people are doing, whereas Coca-Cola is your major competitor. You also want to like do your own look at Coca-Cola in that particular and do a lot of research on them. You don't need to copy them. You just have to like look at them and say, okay, this is what they are doing. They're always talking about quenching test. So what can I do that can be different from this? At the same time, I'm still communicating this particular USP to these people, but then at the same time, we're not like fighting inside that same market. We are trying to like convert the same set of customers, and that's the reason why when you go out there, you see there are always different options. You know, when you can't buy Nestle water, there is Aquafina. If you can't buy Aquafina, there's another one. There's Biggie, there's Coca-Cola. So you look at what these people are doing that is different, and then you also want to like do your own too in that particular space so that you can share out of the market what the market offers to everyone.
So the first A is awareness, second A is acquisition, third A is activation, then revenue, retention, and referral. So for me, that covers the entire aspect of growth. There's also another framework called HAT. So happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, and task success. But I prefer R most of the time. So for me, when I want to create a growth strategy, as the other speakers said, it depends on the product that you want to sell, the product you want to grow. So let's take, for example, Yournotify. So Yournotify is a CRM software, a marketing automation tool for SMS, email marketing. Now, first, we need to identify the target audience. So who needs this product? Who is willing to pay for this product? So we could now say, okay, maybe small, medium businesses, maybe big businesses as well, that are having issues with their current CRM platform or that are not using a CRM platform but need to do these things. They need to send SMS, they need to send emails. So since we've identified our target audience, that's a very broad target that I just mentioned. You need to go deeper. But since we've identified our target audience, then we need to now find ways to reach out to them, to acquire them. So as I said, the first thing is awareness. So they need to be aware of the product before we can now acquire them as leads or as customers. So Yournotify, as a growth marketer at Yournotify, what's the first thing you do? What strategies would you put in place to acquire customers for Yournotify? So who are the decision makers? It's a B2B product. So the first thing you need to do is to check, okay, who are the decision makers at these companies that I want to target? So you can make a list of companies. So account-based marketing works really well. It's a marketing channel as well, and it works really well for B2B. So you can now make a list of companies that you want to target. Maybe I can write a list of maybe 100 Nigerian startups that fit into my target audience. Maybe startups that have raised money, that are able to afford the product that Yournotify, that are willing to use the product, that don't have a better solution or are having issues with their current solution. So when I have that, I can now look for the decision makers in those companies. So obviously, I could decide to send a message to the CEO, but that might not get me anywhere. The CEO receives a lot of messages. So, but this is just one marketing channel. I probably reach out to the marketing manager and then pitch my solution to him using channels like LinkedIn, emails, or cold messaging, right? So that's one way to acquire customers. So if we'll have the whole process of messaging, some people will reply, some won't. Then you have the whole process of doing a demo, completing the process and getting them as a customer.
Again, everything you have to do is data driven. Okay. So first of all, what is the problem? You have done the hard work, the customer has come, especially if the customer has performed the value moment. So those ones that have not performed the value moment is a different journey. So maybe they have, let's say you sell, is an investment app, for example, and then these ones have come in, they've just never invested, right? There's a bigger problem. Can still be solved, but it's a bigger problem. And then there are those that, okay, they put up one investment, eventually pre-liquidated or investment matured, they took out their money and they just never came back, okay. Right? So the issue is, first of all, why? Okay. What is it, right? Because before the low-hanging fruit that people use is jump on incentives, which does work, but why? And there are some incentives. Someone was offering me 500 naira the other day to do something, and I'm like, do you really think 500 naira is my problem? Like, it was so ridiculous. I just swiped the email and moved on with my life, right? But there are some people that 500 naira will attract, obviously, right? So maybe that email probably shouldn't have come to me, right? So what is the why? And I have these situations where I even get like my customer success team, and I'm like, please, could you call these customers and find out? So there are tools that help you create like funnels. So you have your top customers, RFMs, recency, what is it called again? Recency, frequency, something. So you can create, okay, these are the customers I get the highest value from, right? If we're talking about metrics, obviously everything comes down to volume and value. But for me in growth, the most important, the North Star for us is customer lifetime value. As much value are we mining from this customer as possible, right? So now those customers, once any of them shifts, I used to see it. If this person is on the average, maybe they are logging on an experiential app, for example, they log in every week, and this person has not logged in a week, I'm already afraid because what's going on? By the second week, we're already contacting. At some point, I even pick up the phone myself and call. I'm like, introduce myself, just try and get information. So before you even start designing anything, you need to understand why. Sometimes it's a UX issue. A lot of times, it's actually a UX issue. If you brought in the right kind of customer, sometimes it's a problem. He said something as simple as moving around the button can make a difference. Yeah, there was a product I was testing day before yesterday. I test fintech products. In fact, I have another phone. It's mostly just any app I see I download because I just like to see what is going on. I sign up. I have an email address. If I even harass my friends who live in countries where I cannot download the app, right? I just tell them, do you know what, just download, use this email address and sign up so I can see what is going on, right? So sometimes it's a UX issue. And yesterday I was testing this app. I actually wanted to book an investment because I was trying it because I have an investment app myself. And then I was trying to book an investment and the calculator, I just kept tapping it, and then it couldn't give me how much. Okay, if I put this X amount, what is going to be my interest? I kept struggling, and then I left it, right? It could be that. So if that person called me, and I give you that feedback, and you get that feedback from 3-4 customers, you drag engineering. Me and developers, I'm very notorious. The developers that work with me, I'm very notorious. So yeah, they don't like me. This new year, I try to be nicer. So sometimes I send them lunch, I do stuff for them. But once they see my email, if anytime I go, oh, Franklyne, the look on their faces is, so he's the one, right? Because we mostly work remotely. So
perspectives. First is, I think I'll just take it back a bit. Goals. I think a lot of organizations actually have a goals problem. In my experience, I would own up to it. I had goals problem for a better part of my career. What do I mean by goals? The type of goals you set will determine how creative your marketing team can get. In the sense that, for example, you set a goal of website visits. This is our goal for this quarter. We want to get website visits. What happens is that they start thinking of how to get website visits. They would come up with ideas of how to get website visits, which would usually revolve around ads, awareness stuffs. But if you set a goal I now set a different goal, I now said, I want 5% click-through rate on my homepage. There are two goals. What happens is, for the first goal, you are thinking different ways to drive people to the website. For the second goal, you are thinking different ways to make them take an action on the website. Now, the trick is that in the goal of taking an action on the website, the goal of website visits is in there. because you would have to drive people. So you can see how those two goals now has changed the way your marketing team will think and has changed the type of strategies they will use, which is why goal setting is very, very important. We always feel the urge to give ourselves easily achievable goals. It happens to everybody. It happens to me. If you put a goal and then you put a revenue goal, and that's, I work in a B2B company. So there's always this loggerhead between marketing and sales. Why? Because sales are the ones giving the more revenue, exactly, the more revenue goals, while marketing to them are giving, exactly. But the truth is, I agree. You know why I agree to some extent? Because I am looking at this in my current company, I'm looking at it both as a founder and as the person leading the marketing team.